Hey there, Cammy. Are you back home from the funeral already?
Hello there, Aaron. I noticed that you weren't at my husband's funeral despite the fact that you're his mother.
Yes, I really wanted to be there, but I just had so many things going on.
You were too busy to attend your own son's funeral is what you're telling me. Didn't you want to have your last goodbye with him before he was cremated?
Well, I would have liked to, but I feel like there really wouldn't have been a point. I mean, you know that Tom hadn't been talking for some years before he passed away.
But it isn't like you two had a fight and decided not to talk to each other ever again or anything like that, right?
Actually, I suppose you could say something similar happened between us, actually. Tom borrowed money from me and then just moved out to live on his own. Not to mention that he hardly ever called home. He basically abandoned his family and wasn't a good son during his life. So I didn't really see why I should interrupt my busy schedule just to attend the funeral for a person like that.
Well then, why are you even messaging me like this in the first place?
Well, now I'm not so busy, so I think I have the time to head over and see where you're keeping him.
Oh, I see. Well, if you wanted to come and pay your respects, I think that'd be really nice, actually. In fact, I think he would really like it if you did.
Oh, yes, that's right. I'll be coming over to pay my respects. In fact, I'm going to be paying my respects to him every single day.
You're going to visit him every day? Sorry, I'm a little confused. Are we talking about the same things right now?
Well, I mean that as of tomorrow, I am going to be living in your house. So get a room ready for me, thanks.
Sorry, I still don't understand. You want to live with me? Did you mean to say that you were going to be living near me or something? I don't get what you mean by that.
I meant exactly what I said. I'm going to be moving into your house, and you and I are going to be living there together.
So you're really going to move here? But who are all you bringing with you?
Oh, not many people, just me, my husband, and our daughter. That is to say, your sister-in-law.
Hold on just a second. Why are you doing all this? I don't understand.
Well, the house that you're living in right now belonged to Tom, didn't it? So, as his closest blood relatives, we should have a right to live in that house too. There are plenty of mixed-generation houses who a couple takes in one set of parents to live with.
I heard of that happening, but you have a house. Why do you need to move into mine? I mean, why would you put yourself through all this just to share a living space with me?
Well, we actually don't have another house since we sold our old place.
You're not serious, are you? You sold your family home?
You do know that it was my grandfather who built that house, don't you? And that explains why it's rotting and falling apart now. It's not fit for a family to live in. There's leaking when it rains, and the foundations of the house are starting to rot, which is making the house start to slant. Normally a house like that would never even sell on the market, but we had a family friend willing to buy it for a discounted price. The timing couldn't have been better, though.
So then you really sold your house when you could have just hired someone to repair it.
Repair it? In the state it was in, it would have been cheaper to just buy a new house. We had repair costs for everything wrong with our house quoted at around $200,000. So we just thought that it would be easier to sell it and move into a new place. That is to say, your place. That way it wouldn't cost us anything.
I suppose you have a point there, but even so, this is all happening a bit too suddenly for me.
Well, I am so sorry about that. We just decided to move in with you the other day, you see.
I understand that, but you didn't talk to me about this once before now.
Well, that's because we decided as a family. So anyways, we're going to be arriving tomorrow in the evening, okay? So the least you could do is clean up around the house a little and try to make it look presentable.
Can we just slow down for 1 second? I mean, there's a way to change your mind about this at all?
That's right. We've made our decision and we don't intend on changing it. Besides, you are just Tom's wife. You don't have an actual right to tell us what we can and can't do now that he's gone.
But I'm going to be away at work around the time that you're going to be coming over. I work in the evening.
Well, then just leave a spare key for the house in the mailbox or something, jeez. We've already packed up our things and have been stacking boxes getting ready to load into moving vans. See you soon, Cammy.
Aaron, my house is a complete disaster. What did you do to it?
Oh, what do you mean? We're in the unpacking stage right now. Of course things are going to be a little messy.
This isn't what I'm talking about. Please do not just move my furniture and rearrange my rooms without asking me first, okay? And why were my clothes thrown all over the hallway? What is the meaning of that?
We didn't have any other choice. We needed to make room for the rest of our stuff, and your things were in the way. It's that simple.
If they were in the way, then the least you could have done would be to gently move them out of the way and then put them back once you're done. You even moved Tom's urn from over the fireplace. Do you really not see anything wrong with this at all?
Oh, please, I just moved it off the ledge where I could have fallen. I'm sure my son's spirit will forgive me for doing so.
And where are the three of you right now? Did you all step out even though the house is a total disaster now?
Well, we were getting tired of all the moving and rearranging, so we went out to eat. We looked up a really good Chinese spot here in town. I think we might be regular here. It's so tasty.
I am so happy you're already setting in well into the neighborhood.
So, anyways, while we're all out eating, would you mind tidying up just a little? I mean, the least you could do is make sure that we have a space to sleep tonight when we get back.
Excuse me? You want me to clean up this mess by myself?
Well, yes. I mean, you're my daughter-in-law, that's your job. It's all thanks to the efforts of my late son that you're even able to live in a house like this. So the least you can do is take care of his family now that he's gone.
But I just got home from work and I'm exhausted.
Oh, you think you're exhausted? We've been moving things all day. If you're looking for pity from us, you've come to the wrong people. Honestly, you really have no idea just how spoiled you are. All you ever do is complain about every little thing.
Erin, please, I do not mind helping you clean up all this, but I just can't do it by myself. Can you all please finish your meals and come back? I would like some help moving the furniture back as well.
You mean you can't even handle doing that on your own? I wouldn't mind so much about how spoiled you are if you would at least do some work around here. You're still young, so quit complaining.
But I'm complaining about what you all did to my house. Don't you get that? And you were talking about needing to make room for all of us, but this place isn't built to house 4 people. I mean, the place only has 3 rooms.
You're right about that. 4 people is a little bit cramped. I know. How about you move out, and then there should be room for all of us?
You're asking me to move out of my own house?
Why do you keep calling it your house? We all know that Tom was the real owner. And as his closest family, that means that what's his is ours. You have no say in any of this at all. And we are well within our rights to throw you out of the house if we so choose.
What are you talking about? I'm the owner of the house.
Why aren't you out of the house yet? I thought I told you to leave us alone already. My daughter wants her own room and won't quit bugging me about it. All of our problems would be over already if you would just finally leave us in peace. Please, just get out.
So you really are going to try and take my own house away from me then?
Oh, please don't be so dramatic. It isn't nearly that bad. I already told you that we have the right to evict you since this house used to belong to my son. You don't have any room to argue.
And you really want the house so badly that you're willing to do something like this to get it?
It isn't about what we want. It's the fact that we have a legal claim to this house since it belonged to Tom. Now, you're going to leave peacefully and let us get on with our lives or else.
Okay then, if that's really how you feel about it, I guess I'll leave. I was actually thinking about moving away from here anyways.
Oh, really? Well, in that case, get lost and go moving there. We're going to be living in this house from now on, and we don't need you getting in our way all the time.
I already said that I was going to leave. I'll be out of your hair before the day is done. Although I should warn you that Tom didn't leave anything behind. There was no inheritance of his to claim.
Oh, what are you talking about? Of course he had things. He had things like this house.
No, I'm afraid that after all is said and done, when he died with nothing.
I seriously have no idea what you're saying. This doesn't make sense.
Then listen very closely, because I do not want to have to repeat myself. Tom died owning nothing. Do you get it? All his life, he was a horrible man who did nothing but cause trouble for others.
Wait a second, where's this coming from all of a sudden? What is this about, huh?
I mean that my husband, your son, was a horrible man. He used me, took my money, gambled it all away, and ended up in $200,000 of debt.
Hold on a second. Are you telling me when Tom died he was $200,000 in debt? Surely you must mean 20,000 or something like that, right?
I know what I typed, and as soon as he died, banks and debt collectors began reaching out to me looking for their money. When I got the first of these types of letters in the mail, I nearly fainted when I found out just how much in the red Tom was.
But I don't believe it. I mean, $200,000? That's way too much.
Well, believe it or not, it is the facts. I even have the documents to prove all of what I'm telling you is correct.
Why would my son do something so stupid like that? I mean, didn't he know anything about how to use money responsibly?
Well, that is one thing that we can agree on. Your husband is indeed an idiot. Not only that, he was a lazy, no-good, horrible person who buried himself in debt before dying. And now that he's gone, it's his family that is left to clean up his mess.
I see. I had no idea about any of this. But as his wife, you would be the one responsible for all of the debt now. I mean, you said the collectors were trying to get in contact with you, right?
Are you sure that I'm responsible for that? You see, the other day, I submitted my own nullification to inherit anything from Tom.
So you remove yourself from his will entirely?
That's right. So in other words, I'm not carrying any of his dead weight around with me. And while that means that I get nothing from the will, it also means that I don't inherit any of the debt.
But then, who is going to end up taking all of that?
Well, I believe he did specify the three of you as his heirs as well, right? You can get the house, but it also means that you're going to take on the debt.
Well, we want the house, but not all that debt. Can't we just get the house and call it even?
I'm afraid that is not how it works. If you want to inherit the house, you have to inherit the debt.
Oh, but we're talking about $200,000 here.
That's right. Well, actually, to be accurate, I think it's actually more like $2,100, $6,500.
But that's even more than $200,000.
Sorry, I was doing a little bit of rounding before.
There is no way that we're able to afford something like that.
Oh, come on. I'm sure that this is the three of you combine your efforts that you could pay that off in no time. I mean, you are three capable adults. Surely you can handle that, right? Besides, this is something that you can remember your son through. I know you can pay it off if you try.
But we're still all looking for new jobs right now.
What happened to your old jobs that you all had were working before?
We had to quit those so that we could move all the way out here. Besides, it wasn't exactly as if all three of us had what you would call careers anyways. So there's just no way that we're going to be able to pay back an amount like that.
I see. But what about the money that you got from selling your old house? Surely that must still be around, right?
No, we had to use all of that money to pay for the moving expenses to get to your house.
Wow, it must not have been all that much money then. But I guess you did say that you had to sell your house for cheap.
I don't need to hear that kind of thing from you. Why didn't you ever mention any of this before to us?
I just told you right now. What are you talking about? This wouldn't have even been a problem for you all if you hadn't just decided amongst yourself to move here. When I realized the types of people I was going to be dealing with, I knew it was going to be more simple to just remove myself from the process entirely. The bottom line is that the debt comes with this house and there is no escaping it.
The story has to be a little bit more complicated than that. I mean, if we lose this house, where are we going to live? We don't even have enough money to put yourself in a hotel for very long, and another house is totally out of the question.
Yeah. Well, you might want to take the camping things out of the garage and find a nice bridge to set up shop under. Although I think he hasn't touched the tent since it got torn up in a hailstorm. But a house is a house, right?
How can you talk to us so casually about this? Aren't we all family here? Besides, it's the middle of winter.
Yeah, I know. Feel free to take some of the winter clothes we have in the closet, too. You'll need them.
Of course we're going to need them. We'll freeze to death without them.
Hold on a second. Don't you have a car? Why not just bring a bunch of blankets in there and sleep that way?
You mean that cramped little sports car? How are 3 fully grown adults supposed to be able to sleep in that? We'll all have to curl up in little balls. That sounds miserable.
I see. Well, at least you have the car. Why not sell it and try to move back into your old house? Sure, it's falling apart and slanted, but it's better than nothing.
We can't. The person that we sold it to said they were going to tear it down. There won't be anywhere for us to go back to. Even if we tried squatting there before the demolition team showed up, we could get in even more financial trouble if we get caught.
Take on $200,000 in debt, or live with 2 other people in a tiny car. That's like one of those icebreaker questions asked at a party or something.
This isn't a joke. It's our lives that we're talking about.
Well, either way, you're going to have to make the choice. You're going to have to make a choice. I imagine that you're going to choose not to take on the debt, though. Either way, you have to choose quickly.
How could our son do this to us? That stupid boy, what was he thinking?
Aaron, that's the sanest thing you've said all day.
Cammy, are you there? I have a little favor to ask of you. Is there any way that I could get you to help us out just a little?
Well, it's been a while since I've last heard from you. How have things been going?
Please, we desperately need money. We can't keep going on like this.
Oh my. Well, where are you all right now, and what are you all doing?
We're still living in the house. This damned house our stupid son left us.
So then you chose to take on all that debt?
We didn't have any other choice. We wanted to leave it first, but we couldn't.
Huh? Well, what is that? What brought you back to live there?
After the first week of trying to live and sleep in that car, we were all so sore and uncomfortable. My husband can barely even move now.
Oh my, I suppose spending that much time in such a cramped space really can't be good when your joints are that old. It's like you're living in an airline seat or something.
Well, anyways, that's why we had to go back to the house. We just couldn't stand to live like that anymore.
And it sounds like the choice has been made for you.
We even tried to camp outside a little, but it was so freezing cold we couldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, we are in the dead of winter over here. I don't blame you for that.
It was either take on the debt or destroy our bodies. We thought about selling the house and putting it towards paying off the debt as well, but we would have to wait until the weather improved before we could even do that.
Sounds to me like you all are trapped there for a while then. Oh, and there was one thing that I forgot to tell you about the house. I'm actually not sure if you'll be able to sell it, actually.
What are you talking about? Why wouldn't we be able to sell the house?
Well, you probably noticed the mountain face that is basically right behind the house, right? We are just always suffering from landslides coming down the mountain from rainy season or construction. Basically, that house just doesn't have very stable foundations and is constantly at risk of a natural disaster.
You mean that mountain that I'm looking at right outside my window could come down on us at any time?
Well, probably not in winter, unless it snows a whole bunch. I just wish you the best of luck in finding a buyer. Either way, you'll probably only be able to get way less than whatever you thought you originally could. Sell the house if you want. I'm just not sure how much good it will do you, really.
This can't be happening. Why didn't you say anything earlier? We had no idea about any of this. You should have told us.
I really don't think that you would have listened to any word that I said, even if I did say anything.
Maybe so, but you could have at least tried to tell us. You didn't even say anything.
Why would I put that kind of effort into warning the people trying to kick me out of my own house?
Please, you have to do something to help us.
I will not. And I hope that living in that house reminds you every day that you got yourself into this mess. You may think that your son is an idiot for doing what he did, and I would even agree with you. But I also strongly believe that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. In the end, Erin and her family stayed in the house and took on the $200,000 of debt. That spring, however, the melting of all the snow on the mountain caused a huge flood that heavily damaged the house. Since they all lacked the money to pay for any kind of insurance, they had to leave their flooded home with nothing in hand. Now, they all live in a tiny apartment, doing their best working multiple jobs. As for me, I returned home to live with my parents for a while. While there, I met up with an old crush of mine and soon we were dating. He's very nice and kind and nothing like Tom was. All I want to do now is forget all about him and start my life over again.